Okay, so last night I finally got to watch the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which feels really weird to say because this movie had been in development and development hell for so long. It was when the trailer first happened, it was just kind of like, wait, the movie's actually coming out? Like, no bullshit, dead ass. They actually made the fucking thing? I'm I'm shocked, I'm flabbergasted, I'm flummoxed, I am surprised, etc., etc. And then as it kept getting closer, there was that part of me that's like, dude, I'm really excited for the movie. Even if it's bad, I think I'm gonna have a really good time. I'm gonna get to see actual animatronics. The fact that they're all real and like made by the Jim Henson company, I'm like, that's really exciting. Even if the movie's dog shit, even if I think the story is terrible, I'll have a good time. But as it got closer and closer, it was like, this is really happening. This is actually real. Like I keep talking about it, but like it was kind of strange to think about. And I guess to give my familiarity with the series, I've played the first two games. Those are the only one. Actually, no, I played a bit of four, but I've seen most of the games be played through in their entirety. The main six, Ultimate Custom Night, Clay and I actually I did play some of Security Breach. Clay and I played Security Breach. I haven't seen the Ruin DLC. What other games are there? There's FNAF World I haven't touched. I know there's the Halloween update of Five Nights 4, which is, from what I understand, it's just Five Nights 4, but with like some reskinned animatronic. I mean, I think they maybe do work a little bit differently, but I don't think it's anything that different. Anyways, I'm very familiar with the series. I'm familiar with the lore. I don't know if I've seen all the Matt Pat videos, but I've seen most of the Matt Pat Five Nights at Freddy's videos. So I feel like I am a fan. I'm probably not the biggest fan. Like, I don't think I. No, I do have some merch because Dylan got me a Foxy plush. I should actually go get that. That sounds right. Bahamut, my cat's with me. Like, I'll be right back, Bahamut. I'm actually gonna go get the Foxy plush. That makes sense. That's topical. Here he is. This is the one bit of FNAF merch that I have. It's a little Foxy, and I mean, I kind of wish it had the hook hand, but I mean, I'm not complaining. I think it's adorable. That might actually be some cursed shit. Like, I wasn't actually expecting an eye to be in there. I feel like I just kind of looked behind the curtain a bit. But I fucking love this. I think it's adorable. I thought I should bring him out. I do like me some FNAF. So anything I say about the movie, good or bad, comes from the perspective of someone who has a lot of familiarity with the games and their story, or at least their heavily implied and understood and community agreed upon story. Because I do think Five Nights at Freddy's is too convoluted and also too vague for its own good. It's not for me personally. It's like I feel like a lot of the ideas work, just the way it's told, not really as much, but that's just a personal thing. So I feel like that's the first thing I need to say about the movie. The second thing I need to say about the movie is there's two audiences for Five Nights at Freddy's. Audience number one is the horror audience. Like, you love the first game. I mean, maybe it's not just the first game, because like they're all fucking horror games. Except FNAF World, I don't really know what the fuck that is. But you love the atmosphere, you love the vibe. Maybe you do really also like the lore, and there's a lot of fucked up horror shit in the lore. And that's what you want to be represented in the movie. You want there to be kills, you want there to be a lot of intensity, you want a lot of creepy shots. You maybe or maybe don't want a lot of gore. Because say what you will about Five Nights, it's not a particularly gory story because most of the kills are jump scares. Like, you're not actually seeing Mike Schmidt or Jeremy Fitzgerald like getting hacked to pieces by Foxy or anything. The only like violent thing I can really think of is the flashback where you see what happens to Springtrap, and I mean the scooping room, but even that, you don't really see it, it's implied, and then seeing Michael's body like slowly but steadily deteriorating. I guess Michael Afton, not Mike Schmidt, although I believe in the games they are the same person. In the movie, they are not. Mike Schmidt has no relation to William, I almost said to Michael Afton. I have no idea if there is a Michael Afton in this film universe. He is not in the movie. I probably should have saved that for more like mild spoilers or full spoilers, so sorry about that. But my point is, one of the two audiences is we love the horror of Five Nights. The other audience is the kids. There's a lot of merchandise, and a lot of the merchandise is like, look at this. This is not something you sell to someone who goes, I like spooky shit. This is something you sell to a kid that's like, it's Foxy, he's so adorable. Which, I mean, Foxy is adorable. Even, like, his, like, fucked up, nasty bits, all dum-dee, dum-dum-dum, running down the hallway and shit. He's adorable. I mean, I think I said that a little too loud. Bahamut seemed a little spooked. I'm sorry, bub. But there's definitely a big audience for kids. The animatronics are very popular with kids. So my point for that is the movie caters to both audiences. There are moments in the movie that make me think, good. This is a Five Nights at Freddy's movies. I am seeing cool, crazy shit happen. Each of the animatronics does get a kill. And I think that's really cool. I won't go into the specifics at this point, but I feel like that's not a super spoilery thing to say. It's like, yeah, people fucking die in the Five Nights movie. They should. But on top of that, there's also definitely points in the movie, like there's one scene in particular that I will talk about a little bit later, where it's like, this is the part of the movie that's for the kids. And that's not at all to say that you can't enjoy it as an adult. Because you could be like, yeah, like this is still kind of a fun scene, or if you still just really like the characters, especially the OG animatronics, you're like, this is just nice. Like, I like seeing them in these kinds of situations. But it does feel like, here's the part of the movie that's for the horror fans. Here's the part of the movie that's for the kids. And now we're getting back to the part of the movie that's for the horror fans, but we also know that kids are here. So while we can go kind of far, like we can do some shit, we can't go too far because we know who's really here to see the movie. And I feel like that's probably pretty important to keep in mind when you do go into it. It is a horror movie based on a horror game, but it can't forget its kid audience. So, with all that being said, non-spoilers. So non-spoilers, mild spoilers, which is essentially like, here's some set pieces, here's some kills that aren't like super late into the movie, and just some fun Easter eggs. And then full spoilers, so like any reveals, climaxes, main character deaths, any of that kind of shit. So going into the no spoilers, your basic plot is Mike Schmidt, which, like I said earlier, is not Michael Afton. I don't know if there is a Michael Afton in this film universe, but there's gonna be... there's no fucking way there's not gonna be a sequel. So, I don't know if they're gonna do Michael in the later movies, but Mike Schmidt is taking care of his little sister named Abby. As part of his backstory, which you do learn very early into the movie, he had a little brother named Garrett, and he was supposed to be looking after Garrett, but Garrett was taken by someone in a car, and he can't remember the person that took him, but the guilt of his little brother being taken has haunted him throughout his life, and he pretty much every night has these dreams, and he's essentially trying to lucid dream and like deep dive into his own dreams to get as much detail as possible to see if he can remember the person that took his brother. And this was... I don't know if they ever give a number, but I'm going to say at least 10 years ago, probably closer to like 15 years ago. Like, but it's something that's very, like, hugely affected him. And there's a scene very, very early, it's like his first scene in the movie, where he's working as a security guard, not in the pizzeria, but he's working as a security guard, and he sees a kid just kind of standing by himself, and a guy walk over and like grab the kid, kind of yell at him and start yanking him, and his PTSD of having his brother stolen kicks in. So he just immediately assumes this dude is kidnapping the child and like fucking tackles him into a fountain and starts like punching the shit out of him in front of his son. And the son's like, "Hey, daddy!" And it's, on the one hand, it's kind of funny with like how over the top it is, but it does a really good job of establishing Mike's character. He is very protective of children because of what happened to him, and his guilt is something that eats at him. Next thing I want to say is I have to shout out the pizzeria, just the way it looks. Like, the interior is great. You're like, I recognize that area, I recognize that area, I recognize that area. Like, I know there's that one game, it's a fan game, and I can't remember what the fuck it's called. Fazbear Frights is the place you work at in 3. It's like Welcome Back to Freddy's or something like that. I know Mark has done some playthroughs of it recent, but it's like a free roaming game in the original pizzeria. And having seen that and just like these areas in the pizzeria and now in the movie, like seeing it all, it's like this all looks correct. It looks great. And by it looks great, I mean it looks like shit. It is so dilapidated. It's so grimy, especially on the outside. And I'm like, yes, this is how the pizzeria should look. It's like watching Firefly and you look at Serenity and you're like, this looks like a piece of shit junk ship. And it's great. It's one of my problems with the actual movie Serenity, because I'm like, no, the ship looks way too nice. That might sound like a minor criticism, like one of those, actually, the ship looks too nice. It's an important attention to detail. Like, no, I don't care. I don't care how it makes me sound. Serenity is supposed to look like a hunk of junk that is put together by 2 pieces of string and a paper clip, and the paper clip is fucking frayed. But they got that with the pizzeria. And while we're on the subject of things looking great, even though they're pieces of shit, the animatronics look fantastic. And a neat little detail, and maybe this is just one of those things that I think is kind of a cool Easter egg, is that the first animatronic you really see is Bonnie. Now you get I guess in a sense the first one you see is Foxy, because there's literally the first scene of the movie is a security guard trying to escape from the office and shit. And he gets taken by Foxy into the room where the suits are. And then there's this Freddy mask with all the buzzsaws and shit, which you've probably seen in the trailers. And the dude trying to escape, but he can't. And you just hear his screams, which, again, that's one of those, that's a really fucked up cool kill. But because of who's also watching the movie, they can't show it. They don't need to show it, but there's a part of me that almost goes, it's like, you really didn't have to on that one. It would have been kind of cool, though, but I'll give you that one. Like, the implication of what's going on is fucked up enough. But you do get, Foxy silhouette, and you hear him just sing, dum dum dee dum dee dum, and I fucking love you. I just want to see you run down a hallway. That's all I want in this movie. I just want to see Foxy run. But the first one you really see is Bonnie, which sounds right to me because Bonnie's the first one on your ass. Bonnie is the one who's the most aggressive. Bonnie is the one that's fucking nightmare fuel, at least for me. Five Nights 1 Bonnie just kind of lives in my nightmares rent-free. I don't think I've ever actually had a nightmare of Bonnie. I've had one of Springtrap, and it was literally the night that, when FNAF 3 was first unveiled, it was we got the trailer, and then, just the image of this nasty, dingy, golden brown rabbit with, fucking ooze and pus coming out of his head. I was like, I don't like that, and I had a nightmare that night. I was like, no! I fucking love Springtrap, and I hate him. But the fact that Bonnie is the first one you see, and he's really the first threat, I don't know if that's intentional in any way, but for me, it kind of made sense. But all 5 of them look great. And I say 5 because you've got Freddy, you got Bonnie, you got Foxy, you got Chica. You have the fucking cupcake. the cupcake is a really, really aggro piece of shit, and I think it's actually fucking hysterical. But I think they all just look so good. I said it so many times while watching it. Which, like, Clay and I watched it last time. We watched it on Peacock. We watched it on streaming. We couldn't shut up the entire movie. We were having a great time. It's like, I'm so glad I'm not watching this in theaters because I can talk. I can talk about some of the places I think this movie is going to go, some of the things and Easter eggs I might see, and, like, I'm excited for some of the shit I do see and I'm really enjoying and excited for. There are so many times it's like, fuck, these animatronics look so good. They look beautiful and they look like pieces of shit at the same time. It's great. Some of the other characters who are in the movie, there is a police officer named Vanessa who shows up a few times at the pizzeria. She has, like, a nice chemistry with Mike. It's not necessarily, like, a romantic thing, but kind of a, like, I want to help you out. She kind of seems to have an implied history with the animatronics. And if you played the game, you might think you know something about the character, and you're kind of right, but kind of wrong at the same time. It's Five Nights at Freddy's, so you know about the ghost kids. You do have a collection of ghost kids. It's one per the 4 big animatronics, plus 1. And again, if you've played the games, you know who that plus 1 is, at least in regards to Five Nights 1. I'll hold off on talking about them until I get to the full spoilers, but again, you probably fucking know who it is. They do play a big part in this. They're very ambiguous throughout most of the movie, and not just the sense of, like, oh, who are these kids? Why is Mike seeing them in his dream as well? But it's you're not really sure what they're after. Like, are they, like, they seem to be pretty cool with Abby, but, like, are they nice to Mike? Are they only tolerant of Mike? Are they against him? There's a nice bit of mystery going on there. And yeah, like I said, all of your main animatronics do get a kill. They're not super gory, but some of them are actually, like, really great. There was one that kind of made me gasp, but I was like, oh, that's fucked up. Holy shit. I loved that. And on top of that, there's a lot of, like I think I've kind of said a few times, there are moments where I'm reminded this is a horror movie, and it's not just in the kills. There's this shot pretty early on where I think it's around, like, day 3, because they do end up spending 5 nights at the pizzeria, because of course you do. I think it's like the 3rd day. It's on to the 3rd day. 48 hours remain. It's like it's in the kitchen, and you see just, like, a fan, and as the fan is spinning, you can just see Chica walking past it outside. And it's like, she's clearly there, but it's not really focused on her in a way that's really cool. There are a few shots of just Foxy's silhouette. Like, there'll be, like, a light kind of flicker, and then you'll, like, see his silhouette or shadow on the wall, and then it's gone in the next shot. There's at least one of Bonnie in the closet, which is one of Bonnie's hiding spots in the game, so that was perfect. And it was just seeing him there, where it's like for a second and it's really creepy, and then when they focus on it more, it worked. It wasn't as creepy for me, but it was still really cool. Trying to think. I think there was, like, maybe another couple. Maybe not off the top of my head. But there are, just, like, as the movie goes on, like I said, there's some, like, shots and, like, the composition of the animatronics and shit where, like, that was creepy. There's one, okay, there are a couple more that are big spoilers, so I won't talk about them yet. I'll talk about them when I do my full spoilers, but I'm like, that's fucking creepy as hell. Oh, I didn't like that. I don't like that at all. But that's pretty much all I have to say for no spoilers. So getting into the mild spoilers, first let me go into some of the Easter eggs. MatPat is in the movie. there's a scene where some characters are at a diner, and he's their really chipper, happy waiter, and he's like, they have this thing about, lunch is the most important meal of the day. I thought breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, that's just a theory. Because, fucking course, if Matt Pat's in the movie, he has to say that. And his name tag says, "My name is Ness," which... That's just gold. I appreciated that a lot. I was like, for me, there were two people, like YouTubers, I really wanted to see in the movie. One of them is Markiplier, who is not in the movie. As you may or may not have heard, they tried to get him in the movie, but due to genuine scheduling conflicts with him making Iron Lung, he's like, I can't actually make that. As much as he wanted to be in the movie, as much as they wanted him in the movie, sometimes just shit happens, and it's unfortunate. But I'm glad that it's because of like a genuine issue and not any kind of malice from either side. The other person for me was Matt Pat. I'm like, this feels right that the two of them would be here, and at least one of them was. I appreciated that. Balloon Boy shows up a couple times in the movie as a jump scare, where Mike opens a locker and there's just Balloon Boy, and it zooms in super close on his face, and it happens once, it happens again later in the movie, and then he will just kind of turn Balloon Boy around. He's like, I don't like this thing. Which one of my really good friends fucking hates Balloon Boy. Just whatever it is, it's the laugh, it's the hi, hello, hi, that just freaks him right the fuck out. And so the fact that they used Balloon Boy for the jump scares was great. There's also a part in the end credit scene, it's just a third Balloon Boy jump scare. It's really funny. I liked it a lot. Speaking of the credits, the song that plays during the end credits is the Living Tombstones Five Nights at Freddy's song, which I appreciated that. That's really fucking cool. That's really nice. There's a couple others I can't really talk about because they are spoilers, but I mean, how spoilery is it? Because I feel like people already know that. I'll hold off on it for now. But there's a scene where Mike is talking to his sister's teacher, counselor. I wasn't a hundo on that. And if you look in the corner, there's a blackboard. And on the blackboard, it says our words of the day and shit. And a lot of them are related to the animatronics. You've got Chick, Fox, Bear, Bunny, Puppet is in there. The Puppet is not in the movie. That I was hoping so bad that the end of the movie would literally be the end credits, the end credit scene would just be a jump scare from the Puppet. You would just hear the oh, I would have loved it, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But I did appreciate that little nugget. And what does that say? Oh, that's it. I was like, what was my other Easter egg that I had noticed? There is a use of "It's Me." It's, I don't even remember what it was. It was it was somewhere in the office where it was just kind of written there. They didn't really call too much attention to it. They didn't really do anything with the I mean, I guess in a sense, Mike's deep dreaming is his hallucinations, but they didn't really do anything with the "It's Me," which is a little disappointing. It's Five Nights. Also, the fact that there's a decent little chunk of exposition because Mike gets his job from a man named Steve Raglan, who is played by Matthew Lillard. And I'm probably just going to refer to him as Matthew Lillard for most of this, where Lillard is talking to him over the phone and delivering exposition. I'm like, it's not quite Phone Guy, but that feels right in a Five Nights at Freddy's thing. So let me talk about the non-spoilery kills. So I already brought up the one at the start of the movie where a dude gets Foxy tied to a chair and assumingly becomes fucking one with the Freddy mask. I said every animatronic gets a kill. That's not Foxy's. So there's a group of assholes who get hired by Mike's aunt, who's like, I want control of his little sister because of the money it will give me from the state. So I need to make Mike look like shit. Schmidt needs to look like shit. So I'm hiring some goons to go into the to the pizzeria where he's working security and fuck the place out to make it look like he's doing a shit job. So one of them gets killed in the kitchen, where the cupcake leaps onto his face and fucking mauls him to death. And I'm counting that as a kill for Chica, because while the cupcake is an aggro, like really fucking aggro piece of shit, he is still like part of Chica. At least that's how I see it. I mean, I'm saying he. I don't know what fucking gender the cupcake has. The cupcake might be a she, could be a they. I don't know. He sounds right to me, but I don't really know. But anyways, Chica and the cupcake get a kill there. There's a dude who's like running. I think like Chica looks at him, which they actually managed to make Chica kind of scary, and I appreciate that. But there's a dude who sees that shit, hides in a closet, and then there's Bonnie who just kind of beats him to death. Which I'm like, yeah, I've maybe had that nightmare once. Like, oh, I don't like that at all. And then like his dude, like one of his homies, like hears that sound, sees Bonnie walk out of the closet, runs into the office, is hiding, looks in the cameras, and then there's just Chica and Bonnie staring at him. And then Chica goes down to a vent and puts the cupcake in the vent, so the cupcake goes into the office. He escapes the office, is down a really long hallway, and then you just hear dum 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 dee dum dum, because Foxy doesn't quite run, he just kind of flash steps. But given the fact that that's a real ass animatronic, it probably wouldn't have been able to really do the fucking Foxy run. So it's like, I'll take it. I counted it. It worked for me. So Foxy gets a kill. Then the last member of the group, she's like, where the fuck is everybody? So she goes in and she sees one of the ghost kids running, and he leads her to Freddy. And Freddy's just sitting there like in the maintenance room, and she goes up and she gets closer and closer, and a hand like pops out of Freddy's mouth, grabs her, pulls her, and you see this in shadow, into Freddy, and then fucking chopped. And then she's bitten in half and swallowed. And yes, Clay and I were both like, is that the bite of 87? Because of course there had to be a fucking bite death. Like they had to. But the fact that Freddy bit somebody in half, and we didn't see it, but we saw it, that was the one that made me gasp. I was like, that's fucked up. That's like really violent. That was a good kill. I liked that. I appreciate it. Like that whole section of the animatronics just getting kills. Oh, excuse me. For me, that is my favorite part of the movie. I genuinely like what they're doing with Mike and him trying to find his brother's killer and everything. Like, I feel like it's a genuinely really interesting and compelling story. But I am here for the animatronics and to see them do shit. I think it's like a Godzilla movie, but I feel like it's a good Godzilla movie where it's like, yeah, the shit with the monsters and them doing shit is really cool when they get to do it. But when I'm focusing on the humans for the majority of it, because that's what every Godzilla movie is, this, I think, is genuinely interesting human shit with some nice, like, banter and interactions. So I think it works really well. The only other scene I feel like to really talk about in mild spoilers, like, there's a point where the girl that gets bitten in half is Abby's babysitter. So now that she doesn't have a babysitter, Mike has to bring her to work. And the animatronics just become her friends because the animatronics love kids. And this is when I'm like, okay, this is now the part of the movie where we have to get the kids happy. Because they're like putting on a show and they're dancing and they're happy. And Freddy is just mean mugging Mike the entire time. And it's so fucking funny to me. And I'm like, dude, if Freddy was mean mugging me like that, I would leave. Like, that's actually kind of fucking scary, but it's funny as hell at the same time. And there's a scene where Mike and Abby and Vanessa are building a table fort with the animatronics to have like a fun sleepover time. And there's a part afterwards where Bonnie just falls over, like, Bonnie, are you okay? And then he's just laying there, but he gives a thumbs up, and it's like nice 80s music and shit, and I'm like, I mean, I think this is like really fucking silly, but it's harmless. Like, again, if you're here like, I want my fucking horror movie, I don't want any of this shit, you're not gonna think it's harmless. But I'm like, this is the stuff that's here for the kids. Like, Five Nights at Freddy's came out when I was in, I think, like, my junior or my senior year of undergrad. I was a fucking adult. I'm like, this shit is really cool. I like it. But if I grew up with it, this would be easily my favorite part of the movie, because I'd be like, yeah, like, I get to be a kid and I got with, like, Freddy and Foxy and Chica and the Cupcake and Banny and yamma. Like, I would love it. I really, really would. As an adult, I'm like, this part of the movie is not for me, but it's nice, it's pleasant, I think it's fine. So now I'm going to talk about full spoilers. The full spoilers are, one, what the ghost kids want. Because they keep showing up in Mike's dreams as he's trying to remember the shit that happens to his brother, and they mention the yellow rabbit at least once. Also, in the pizzeria, and it's something I noticed, because I think they actually, like, called attention, like, they really emphasized it a couple times, is there's a bunch of pictures on the wall, and they mention a couple times that the animatronics really like pictures, and, like, pictures seem to have this kind of influence over them, is there's a picture of the 5 kids, and a yellow rabbit in the middle, like, holding hands, they're all smiling, they're all super happy. So, because of that, the animatronics trust and listen to the yellow rabbit. And if you played the games and followed the lore, you know that's really, really, really fucking bad. So, the kids essentially make a deal with Mike of, well, you can't save your brother, but what we can do is, like, we can, I guess, use our ghost kid power, because sure, dog, to give you a dream every night where your brother didn't get kidnapped, and you can essentially live in a nice fantasy world. In exchange, we want your sister. We're going to make her one of us. And Mike's immediate response to this is, yeah, okay, I can do that. Wait, no, I can't fucking do that. That's my sister. Like, he considers it a little longer than he probably should. But he does say, no, I can't do this. And then the animatronics turn on him. And when he wakes up, he's in the chair with the thing. I'm like, I really liked that. I like how the animatronics went from 0 to 100 real fucking quick. Because even in those moments where they're, like, hanging out and building forts and Bonnie's giving thumbs up, there's that kind of part of me that goes, this doesn't feel right. And not just because they're horror characters. It's like, they're up to something. What are they playing at? I don't trust you for. You're assholes. And yeah, it turns out they are. And I keep saying that there's 5 of them because, like I said, if you played the game, especially the first one, you know there's Golden Freddy. The kid that's Golden Freddy is really the head of the group. It's not old Fazbear. And this is one of my biggest problems in the movie. Because my understanding of game lore, like I said, it's very vague and also very convoluted. My understanding is the main player character in every game except for 4 is Michael Afton, the son of William Afton, the man who kind of created the animatronics. It's him and his business partner Henry, but Afton is the serial killer. And Michael, while playing around with the animatronics, took his little brother, and I don't know what the little brother's name is. I'm going to call him William. That might not be right, but fuck it, I'm going to give him a name. You know what? Fuck it, I'm going to call him Garrett, because that's the name of Mike's brother here. And he was fucking around with his brother, who was scared of the animatronics, and, like, put his head in one of the animatronics, and Golden Freddy and Fredbear, and then and his brother died. Or at the very least, he was in, like, a coma and having nightmares, and that's what Five Nights 4 is. So, Golden Freddy, the ghost that is haunting Mike Schmidt and Jeremy Fitzgerald, and any other game that Golden Freddy appears in, is the spirit of Michael Afton's younger brother that is haunting him. And my personal theory with Ultimate Custom Night is that it's not the personal hell of William Afton being tortured forever. It's the personal hell of Michael Afton being tortured forever. Because you got some of, I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent, I'll relate to the movie, but this is kind of important for the point I'm about to make. There's quite a few animatronics, like Funny Frog and her, is it Funny Frog? I think that's what her name is. Where they'll be like, yeah, you got killed by Funny Frog. I was like, what's on? Haha. And then you've got my good pal Orville, who's like, I'm the magician, and that's the grand finale, and shit like that. And then they'll have these lines where it's like, I will never let you escape. I will never let you leave. Or like the one you shouldn't have killed, and shit like that. And I feel like the person they're referring to is Golden Freddy, because that is the person that Michael shouldn't have killed, because that is a vengeful ass fucking ghost. And I know that there's an Easter egg with like the Old Man Consequences shit where you can hear William Afton screaming in hell. And to me, that makes it seem even less likely that William is the player character, because it almost feels like you're Michael in your hell, and then I guess, I don't know, like 2 cells over, I don't know how hell works spatially or temporally. It's like Michael can hear his father screaming for Mike, and I think he screams Mike and Henry, maybe he just screams Mike, but I feel like he can hear his father, but he's dealing with his own shit. There's also the fact that fucking Springtrap and Afton are after the protagonist, which, if you are William Afton, the fact that you're trying to kill you is kind of weird, but if you're Michael, it makes a lot more sense. And if you beat 50-20 mode, there's this little cutscene of Golden Freddy, like, kind of twitching, and it gives this vibe that kid, that vengeful spirit, is pissed because he had you right where he wanted you. Like, he's going to torture his killer forever. And somehow his killer fucking escaped, and that just grinds his spectral fucking gears. So with all that said, that is my understanding of who and what Golden Freddy is. Why was Golden Freddy not Garrett's spirit? Because if Golden Freddy is supposed to be, it's like, I am the vengeful spirit of the person you killed. Now, Mike in this did not kill Garrett, but it was through his negligence that Garrett was taken, and he has the guilt complex. If Garrett was Golden Freddy, it's like, yeah, I blame you for what you did, and I'm here to fucking haunt you. That feels very lore consistent, and it's some interesting shit. And if it's specifically Garrett saying, I want Abby, it's like, yeah, I want my sister. I want to get to know my sister. You've had her for long enough, but we can't fucking trust you with her. You're about to lose her in a custody battle, which, let's just say Golden Freddy understands anything about custody. I mean, it's not custody, it's more like guardianship. Anyways, though, it's like, you're not going to be able to keep her safe. Does that sound familiar, Mike? You not being able to keep your little sibling safe? But you give her to me. And I can do that. And in exchange, I'll release you from the guilt of what happened to me. I would have liked that a lot more. With that being said, there's a fucking scene when you're in the aunt's house, who's a wonderful piece of shit, by the way. Like, she's so hateable. And there's a part, like, I was talking to Clay, where I think he was like, do you think the aunt's gonna die? I'm like, they're writing her in a way where she kind of has to. Like, they're setting her up for this perfect villain death in a horror movie. But unless, like, an animatronic goes to her house, or, like, Afton kills her, or Vanny kills her, then I don't know. Like, she has no reason to go to the pizzeria. but she should die. Like, that's what happens in a horror movie. There's a scene in the house where Golden Freddy is just in the house, like, looking at her. And then he kills her, which is also off screen. The Golden Freddy kid's just like, Abby, like, it's okay, she's sleeping. But him in her fucking house, that's a creepy ass shot, and I loved it. The fact that these fuckers could just be in your house, this with his ghostly ass blue Dune looking fucking eye. It's awesome. And also, it's like, okay, a Freddy is in someone's house. This is some joy of creation shit. You cannot tell me that is not a joy of creation shout out. Mwah, I fucking loved that. But the aunt dies. Abby gets not kidnapped because she went willingly, but taken to the pizzeria where she can become part of the crew, part of the ship. The animatronic they're going to put her in, my understanding is that it's Ella from the book. I thought it was like a kind of a weird version of Baby, which I was like, okay, Abby is an anagram for baby. Is she supposed to be Elizabeth? Is that where they're going with this? And it's like, it kind of, but not really. Because like you got the Abby almost becomes baby, but of course Mike saves her. But the idea of Afton having a daughter who's helping him with his shit is something they do because that's Vanessa. Because I did call her Vanny earlier, and that was on purpose. Because as soon as it's like, oh, you mean there's a cop who's named Vanessa and looks just like fucking Vanny? Like this she's just Vanny. Okay. And my understanding is that in the game, you don't know what Vanessa's last name is, like what Vanny's last name is, but her initial is A. So, would anyone be fucking surprised if it was Afton? I don't think so. And her name is Vanessa Afton. She is helping her dad, which, as we probably all knew, is played by Matthew Lillard. There is no Steve Ragland. That's some bullshit. He's William fucking Afton. And there a couple nice shout outs to that is he has a purple tie on. I'm like, yeah, he's wearing purple. That's perfect. Also, in the trailer, or not in the trailer, in the opening credits, which I forgot to mention, by the way, in the opening credits, you just get this. It's done in the like style of the Five Nights 2, Five Nights 3 minigame. I guess a few games have that. So like those 8-bit minigames. And it shows like Springtrap. I guess it's Spring Bonnie at that point, but you know what I mean when I say Springtrap. It's Springtrap going and like taking the kids, and you don't see what he does with them, but you know exactly what he's doing. And I was like, that's a really like cool, creative way to show what's going on. When Matthew Lillard's name appears in the credits, it's in purple. I'm like, you understood the fucking assignment. Thank you. But I said there were 2 parts in spoilers. I was like, those are shots that freaked me out. One of them is Golden Freddy in the house. The other is Vanny when she explains her backstory about Michael Afton and all that. Actually, not William Afton. She shows this picture, and it's of her as a little kid, and it's supposedly with her dad, but it's someone in the Spring Bonnie suit, like standing there and holding her hand. That was the creepiest fucking rabbit I'd ever seen in my life. Just that picture of that thing. No. Fuck that. Fuck whoever came up with that. It worked. It scared the shit out of me. So basically the climax is in like 2 phases. Phase 1 is Mike has to save his sister from the animatronics, when it's Vanny basically gives him like a stun gun. It's like, yeah, this will work. And it does. Like Bonnie and Freddy are taken care of pretty easily. Chica's taken care of easily. The Cupcake's an aggro piece of shit, and I mean, it's like gnawing on his fucking leg. And again, it's going kind of hard, but it's taken care of. Abby is then playing a game of like essentially hide and seek with Foxy. And again, it's one of those like, this is a pretty creepy moment. I think it's really cool. And then, Vanny shows up and helps her. And Mike's about to escape and shit. And then here comes Springtrap. And then, he does the fucking knife wipe like he's Stu Macher from Scream because Matthew Lillard. And remember, Clay was like, it's Matthew Lillard as William Afton. I wanted him to go full Stu Macher. I wanted to hear him just lose his shit, screaming, laughing, giggling. But he was too serious. He was like too reserved. And I kind of liked that. I felt like I got a good... Because that to me is... how I imagine William Afton. I don't imagine him as this super cackling mad dude. I imagine him as this more restrained and refined evil. And I feel like there's a good balance between what I imagine William Afton to be and how I would want Matthew Lillard to play him. I actually think it works pretty well. But like he's in the little bit where he's like on screen, he's clearly having a blast. Also, for the way the spring lock suit is described with like how easily the thing can get triggered, that's a really nimble fucking bunny. There's also a part where he just like kicks Mike and then it's this like very metallic clang. I was like, my dude is concussed after that shit. I was just like, damn, there's the fucking concussion kick. The way he is defeated, I mean, you know how he's defeated. The spring locks go off. But what happens is, as they say earlier, how pictures have power over the animatronics and shit. Abby draws a picture, I guess maybe found an old picture, I'm not exactly sure, of the yellow rabbit killing the kids, and she hangs it up over the other one, and then the animatronics are all like, oh, he killed us. Ah, our bad. And then they all turn on him, and of course it's the cupcake that starts shit, where the cupcake like leaps at him and takes a bite, and it makes this first spring lock go off, and they all start going off, and this is the kill that needed to be brutal. The others, I think I had a lot of fun with them. Again, the mask coming down, like you don't have to show me that. I know that's going to be super gory. You can leave that to my imagination. The woman getting fucking bite of 87'd in half in shadow, I think is a really cool way of showing what happened without having to show what happened. Here's something for the horror fans while keeping the kiddies in mind. But this is like the one scene in the game that's like really brutal, is seeing Afton die. It's Afton, so it should be brutal, but so it's like really satisfying to watch. Like, I wanted to see this fucker suffer. And it doesn't, you really don't, like, it's like, okay, like, that's kind of shitty, but he doesn't even seem like he's in that much pain. It feels, especially because even the way it works in the game, because they really talk about like the spring locks, they're super sensitive, like you move the wrong way and get fucked up. Moisture is what really does it. He starts laughing, and he's laughing so hard that I think it's like the spittle from his laughter is fucking it up, and that's what kills him. It's like, yeah, if that's what had done it, like he went full Matthew Lillard, and then that's what triggered it, and it's super brutal. That would have been great. It's like, again, you don't have to show like his guts flying out. Kids are gonna be here, but you can make him like spit up blood. You can make him fucking bleed. I think there's a little bit of blood in the movie. It's not like super violent or anything, but this scene for me really should have been. Is there anything else I really have to say about the ending and climax? Not really. Like, yeah, they kill him. Vanny helps. He turns on Vanny and stabs her, but she survives. She goes to the hospital. Mike is looking after his sister, and it ends with the Golden Freddy kid, who doesn't do anything in the climax besides bring Abby there. I was like, yeah, Golden Freddy just did something. Like, Golden Freddy's now making his move. Why the fuck is he not in the climax? Like, it actually really bothers me. And then he just kind of watches Afton in a room as, you know, Springtrap is fucking, I guess, doing the Bernie. But, like, he's twitching out and glitching out like he does in the trailer for Five Nights 3, which is like, this is him fucking dying. And, of course, he does say as he's dying and the spring locks are going off, he's like, I always come back, and puts the thing on. I'm like, I don't know. That didn't even feel super earned. Maybe if it was, like, a more violent death, I would have cared for. I don't know. And like I said, in the credits, like, they literally play the, like, the Puppets theme as a song in the end credits, and I'm like, oh, there's gonna be a puppet jump scare. I'm so excited, and it just never happens. Though at the very end, because like in Five Nights at Freddy's, like they do something like that, which I believe spells out "come find me" here, which would have been perfect. Like you've got like "come find me," and then and like it's a more like orchestral version, but. And then you can jump scare the audience. And then, like, oh, it's a cheap jump scare. It's Five Nights at Freddy's. I want to be cheap jump scared. They did it with Balloon Boy and it's great. But I think the puppet would have just really sealed it. It's like, here's, like, yes, we're going to do a Five Nights 2. Of fucking course we're going to make another one of these. It's going to win a bunch of money. It's going to earn a bunch of money. Tease what the next thing is going to be, because it's probably going to be Five Nights 2, which, I mean, maybe they'll just skip to 3 because 2 is a prequel. But even then, maybe they don't make it a prequel. They just, like, a new Freddy's opened up and Mike's gotta, he's still working hard and now he's got to deal with the toys and the puppet and shit. But with, like, the "come find me," like, you could kind of hint that it's like, that's what the puppet is. And, like, you're going to do some interesting shit. Maybe that's what Garrett is. Like, instead of Golden Freddy, they just made him the puppet. It should be interesting. Maybe there's no Henry. I don't know. We'll see. So I guess getting into my final thoughts on the movie. Very clearly, I enjoyed it. I had a really good time, though I do have some problems. I never heard the... Like, I kind of heard the Troubadour March. The... You can kind of hear it a couple times in the score, but you never really hear it. And I was like, man, because I think this is something Clay came up with when I brought it up. I was like, I really wanted to hear it. He's like, this is maybe what they could have done. Instead of having the woman follow the ghost kid when she goes to Freddy, it's just that song. And she hears it and goes to investigate. And it's just Freddy in maintenance with the music going off, like his eyes are glowing, but he's not moving, and then she goes to investigate, and then like Freddy snaps and takes a bite. I would have liked that more, because it would have given me the Troubadour March. And I feel like that would have been a lot creepier. Just like, I think the way they actually do that kill is really, really good. But just... what's creepier? Like seeing a kid running around and kind of leading you somewhere? I mean, I guess that is still kind of creepy in an abandoned place. Or just hearing music, following it, and then just seeing this thing, and then the music is going off. Like, maybe it would have been a bit much, but I just wanted to hear Freddy with the fucking Troubadour March. Come on, man. But they did give me Foxy running, so I got what I really wanted, so I guess I'll take it. But I feel like for me, my final closing thoughts on this movie might be a hot take. It's a better version of the Mario movie. For me, the Mario movie is a good time. It is fun. There's a lot of fan service and a lot of Easter eggs. But it doesn't... The pacing in that movie is terrible because it feels like scenes end way too early and the plot goes by way too quick for me to get as invested in the characters as I would like. Now, granted, it's Mario and Luigi. I'm invested in them by default. But with like what they're trying to do in their story, I think they do it fine, but it's not as well done as it could have been. Whereas here, the actual story of Mike, like, I'm trying to keep my sister happy and safe because she's kind of the only family I've got and our aunt's a piece of shit. And because I couldn't keep my brother safe, I have to do the same for my sister. And I need to find my brother's killer. And I am like fucking up my life to do it, but I have to do it. I actually think that's a really interesting story. It's something I could get invested in. It's like, I know where it's going. Of course Afton fucking killed his kid, or his brother. Because, yeah, that's exactly what fucking happens. There's a part he's like, when I killed your brother, now I can kill you too. And I was just thinking to myself, like, when I killed your brother, I looked just like this. Oh, it's great. But not him killing kids. Roger Rabbit. Roger Rabbit's what's great. What do you know? Also a rabbit. Um I feel like it gets the pacing a lot better. It does a good I feel like I'm it tells a better story and I can much easier relate to the actual people in this story because they do interesting shit with them. Like when Vanny is talking about her relationship with her dad, she doesn't go into any detail. She's just like, I can't help you there. Like, trust me, if I'm there, I'm not gonna be a help to you. And he's like, man, he like really messed you up, didn't he? Like, yeah. Like I actually thought it was really well done. I was like, yeah, I don't need to know what Afton did to you. It's Afton. It wasn't good. And granted, I will say, I feel like a lot of my enjoyment of the movie is I'm very familiar with the lore. So a lot of that kind of shit makes sense to me. I'm like, yeah, like this is Vanny. Vanny's going to have a connection with Afton. Oh, they're going this route. That's actually really cool. Blah, 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 blah. Or it's like, okay, there's 5 kids. I know, like, Golden Freddy comes right the fuck out of nowhere, but I'm like, it's Golden Freddy. I know he's in the movie. He has to be. Like, he's gonna come right the fuck out of nowhere. I just wish he did a little bit more. Like, some of those moments that might not have worked if I wasn't familiar with the series worked for me really well, and I feel like there's stuff in the Mario movie that does that too. This one, for me, just works better. I honestly liked this movie a lot. Now, is it like the best movie I've seen all year? No. I've seen some really, really good ones. But I liked this. I expected to like just seeing the animatronics and then to kind of ironically like the movie. Like it's not good. It's pretty mediocre. It's pretty bad. But I had a good time with it. But honestly, I left it thinking I genuinely liked it. I genuinely had a really good time. If you're not a big FNAF person, I mean, check it out if you want to, but you might not like it. If you love Five Nights at Freddy's and the lore and the community, I think you'll have a really good time. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.